Sorry, I'm getting a lot of messages. I'm trying to get set up again. There we go. Now I can get back to it. There we go. I finally figured out the camera angle. Haha! For the record, since I'm streaming on YouTube and Instagram, I have multiple devices. Unfortunately, that also means multiple camera angles. Alright. Well, I'm going to try a different tack with these right now, because I figure it's getting close to quitting time, and I would really like to go home in a reasonable hour today. So, y'all got me for as long as you got me. But more importantly, you can have me. Otherwise, I am going to start sealing these plates rather than just letting them sit out, because otherwise I'll get lazy and leave them. You just started a commercial grow-up and I inspired you? Hell yeah. Now, get used to eating macaroni and cheese and ground beef, because it's cheap. Also, I was just talking way too loud. Yeah, if you got any questions about running a commercial op, in addition to having everything up on the website to help you grow, I also do actually do official consulting and things like that, but I'm also happy to answer any rando questions. Now, the problem with using a heat gun to seal your blades is it's McDonald's for the next few weeks, man. Hey, all right. Let me get real with y'all on the stream right now, and I'm actually going to put on a mask. Why? I have a retainer. I'm 41 and I've got a retainer. And I spit when I talk, so I'm going to put this on so I can actually work and talk. So, let me tell you about my little journey through the mushroom trail. So there I am, turning 40. I'm at a tech job, working for one of the giant tech conglomerates. You know the type. They call them the FANG, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, Google, or whatever. Whatever. Anyways, I'm working for all the tech giants, making a really, really nice, cushy salary because tech, baby. And I had the life decision to go and do this, and I have a personality flaw, or rather quirk, I guess you could say, is I've got severe ADHD, and you probably already know that, because I talk about it a lot and very open about it. But one of the keys there is that I hyper-focus, right? When I believe in something and I decide I'm going to go do a thing, right? I don't F around, right? I pretty much go whole hog. So I took my spoiled tech baby salary And then I took my retirement, my 401k, all the stock I had gotten being a spoiled tech baby. Which wasn't a lot, because if you're thinking about going into tech, the joke's on you. The only people who get rich are the people who are writing your paycheck. Yay, capitalism. Anyway, so there I am, and I start a mushroom business. And for the record, if you want to start a mushroom business, definitely, I hate to say it because it's not how I started, and I'd love if everyone kind of did what I did. Actually, no, that's a lie, because it was incredibly painful and slow. And I'm still learning every day. But what I would say is find a space in your home if you can. That space is the one space you're allowed to do your mushroom shit in. Right? Don't let it grow to the rest of your house. But go and get yourself a tent or a greenhouse, right? You can build, like if you Google for a Martha build or anything else like that, you can even get away with going and getting a wire shelf from like Home Depot, like one of the really big rolling wire shelves. They're like 72 inches tall. Go to Amazon and get a dust cover for one of those. That's your fruiting chamber, right? So if you're at home, go and get a wire shelf, put a dust cover on it. That's your fruiting chamber. You put a humidifier in there. Keep it simple if you're starting, right? And then pick what you're going to focus on, right? If you're going to focus on selling cultures, then you better know how to fruit mushrooms, right? I'd honestly say the easiest way to get started is to just buy pre-made stuff and fruit mushrooms and get those to market, right? And that's a great way to start. The other way is to kind of go genetics and things like that. But the problem with genetics and being like a liquid culture or just a genetics vendor is that if you're not fruiting the mushroom genetics that you sell, then how do you know they effing work? Right? So what does the dust cover serve? Okay, so if you've got a 72-inch wire shelf, that's about 6-7 feet, give or take. What that dust cover does is it turns it into a gigantic humidity dome where you can control the temperature, the airflow, and the humidity. That's it. That's what you need to fruit mushrooms. That is it. Oh, and a really nice, go to Amazon. I'll save you some trouble. Go to Amazon, search for full house HEPA filter, or big room HEPA filter. Like, go and get a $150, $200 HEPA filter from Amazon. Put it in the space with your fruiting chamber. Not in the fruiting chamber, just in the room with your shelf and your dust cover. Bob's your uncle, no contam, brah. Why? Because most of your contamination comes from two sources. Your water and misting, ergo use a humidifier that doesn't spray on your mushrooms or substrate or blocks. Second, HEPA filtering the room's entire air system, like that entire space, means that your molds, your spores, and things like that are going to go straight up HEPA hell. Oh, before I forget, Christopher, for the rhizo stuff, you can also force more rhizomorphic growth of the fungus by restricting its oxygen. Think about a forest floor, right? A forest floor is where these guys grow up, right? This is where they specialize, right? Rhizos help a fungus traverse places in the environment, in the forest or in the soil, that are inhospitable, or they allow easy transport of water, oxygen, and nutrients, right? But in the forest floor, guess what? It's a high CO2 environment, right? So the rhizomorphic specialization of the mycelium, right, can actually be triggered and controlled by forcing more CO2 or restricting the airflow, which is why we shrink wrap these. In addition to paraffin just being poopy in general. Oh, so I got a great comment on YouTube. He said he tried a no soak, no simmer, or a no seal bag cook. Let me run you down the physics of that. So, if your bag isn't vacuum sealing properly, and you're doing a no seal cook, it's because either A, you're not getting it hot enough, B, you're not cooking it long enough, or C, the steam can't escape the bag, right? So what you got to do is you got to double check. You've got like 3 to 4 quarts of water in the bottom of the pot. Like I always say, use a trivet to raise the bottom. You want to make sure that you're cooking at 15, 16 psi if you're at elevation. Then, right? So you got all that, 15, 16 psi. Then you're going to want to sterilize for 2.5 hours. Yeah, so let me explain thermodynamics real quick. Or rather, not thermodynamics, because that would be long and boring. Basically, the vacuum effect you see on all of our millet bags and all of our substrate bags, that's a property of the steam sterilization process, right? So when you're steaming or you're sterilizing everything, all of the moisture in the bag turns into steam, right? So steam has to be able to escape through that through the resin plastic lid, right? Depending on what manufacturer. If the steam can't escape, the bag will explode, right? Now, if you don't have enough water, the same thing happens. The steam evaporates, everything melts and explodes, like your bag's pot, right? The vacuuming itself is triggered by the cooling process and the escape of steam. So when you shut off the heat source, the next thing that happens is everything starts rapid cooling. That rapid cooling of moisture forces the steam out of the lip of the bag, and then it sucks it. Creates a complete and total vacuum because steam contains moisture. The moisture hits the sides of the resin. It vacuums everything shut because it's effectively created an oxygen-free environment. But that's how you do a no-seal cook. And you don't get pop bags all the time. Now back to these plates. Oh, and just real quick, just pimp our recent stuff. Our Kickstarter's live. There's a link in my bio. There's links everywhere. We got the opportunity to open up a 5,000 square foot mushroom farm and fully stocked, open source, open and public mycology laboratory. Basically, our landlord is really great. Found a spot, renovated it, said, hey, you guys are great. We love what you're doing. Why don't we work with you? They got us access to this warehouse, and they're completely overhauling it for us, or they actually already have. It will feature a full mycology storefront. You can come and get your sterile stuff or grow kits or fresh mushrooms from our storefront. It will also feature a 25 foot by 25 foot level 10 clean room, where you can come and get your culture on. We will be having classes, workshops. Oh, P.S. We're also right behind, or rather, an indoor shooting range is right behind where we're going to be in the warehouse, which means that after we get our lab on, we can go and get our gun on. Pew pew! Team outings are going to be kind of wacky. So, good point on YouTube. It's either you wrap the bag too far up on itself so the steam couldn't escape, or there wasn't enough moisture, right? So again, if you don't have enough steam to go through that entire cook process in your grains, if you don't have that moisture there to like really kind of do its job, again, it ain't gonna vacuum shut. Yeah, so my ADHD, going back to the story of how I kind of burned everything down, my ADHD said, well, your life sucks, right? You have no friends, you have no one you can hug. I'm not joking, when it's like all this realization hit me, it's like, I seriously hadn't hugged another human being in probably a year. I've got a real dark history, it's fucked up. Anyway, I realized that everything sucks. I had started growing plants and vegetables for the local food bank because I had nothing better to do, and I like helping people. And so I said, I can't keep going for paycheck after paycheck after paycheck for no good reason other than I want a goddamn paycheck. And, you know, what did my generation do with computers, right? Well, the generation before us, or generally the older version of us, helped make the internet what it is today. Then we turned it into a fucking police state. We turned it into social media. We turned it into Facebook. Right? Yeah. It's tough because the way that we're raised, especially here in America, is like this idea of like total self-sufficiency. I don't need anyone else. And that's bullshit, right? We're monkeys, right? We're social creatures. We do need other people as much as we don't want to admit it. And there I am, right? I'm growing vegetables and everything else like that, and I had just started messing around with growing mushrooms and fungi because I was focusing on soil health, right? Because my vegetables were struggling. And I was trying to grow them indoors during the winter. So I had to learn about mycorrhizae and everything else really, really, really fast. So, fast forward, I get a couple of grow kits, and a buddy hooks me up with a couple of other things, and I start growing mushrooms, and these mushrooms grow instantly. Like, so I grew 70 pounds of oyster mushrooms in 4 monotubs. No, 3 monotubs. 3 monotubs. And I made that substrate with pasteurized cannabis plant. So in other words, I went down to the local garden store. I pasteurized a bunch of just garden substrate with worm castings and everything else in it. And I grew 70 pounds of oyster mushrooms. And after that, right after I saw how the art, the beauty, and how they grew, and I understood their life cycle, I was hooked. So, yeah, I know, right? 70 pounds off of 3 monotubs was freaking ridiculous. But oyster mushrooms, as I've grown to learn, don't care about anything. Nuclear waste, plastics, oil. It's like pearl oyster mushrooms are just like, are you Sarah Arcana? No, I'll eat you anyway. That was terrible. Anyway, so there I am, and I'm at a tech job that, I had hoped would be my last one, right? I was hoping to actually just be able to retire early and do something else. But then I started the business and I was actually working 2 jobs. And I realized both my self-realizations around not having human connection and things like that. I realized that the culture in tech just made it that much worse, right? Misogynistic, classist, racist. And, tech is becoming a bit of a monster with AI, right? Basically what we do is we take our idiot brains that are dumb, racist, and short-sighted, and we put them in a computer and make dumb, racist, short-sighted computers. So, I decided I was going to leave my job, right? I basically burned out. I had finally burned out of tech. Nervous breakdown. I ended up in the hospital. It was a really bad time, right? Because when you're almost 40 years old and you have like literally a crisis of your soul, like down to your freaking DNA, and then you walk away from the one career you've had since you were 16, that does shit to you. But then that gave me, that year before the darkness, right? I started the company, right? And I literally started everything, right? I started from spores. I started from my own genetics. I started with clones. I started with, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of jars of grain spawn. Thousands at one point, right? And I would say that the mistake that I made was I went too broad too fast. The other thing is, too, I scaled too fast, right? So the reality of mushrooms and fungi in our business right now is that there's not a lot of us, right? And the vast majority of mushroom farmers in America are agaricus bisporus farmers. And agaricus bisporus farms have a bad track record of cleanliness, worker safety, workers' rights, and things like that because they fall into a typical agricultural structure. Not to mention, they also grow on pasteurized manure substrates. They have, bad environments that, cause issues. Things like that, right? So as a mushroom farmer, even though none of our stuff is bad, right? None of our stuff is, we don't have spore issues. We don't have mass contamination issues. We don't have, pasteurized stuff flying around. But the reality is that capitalists don't care. So they don't care that I'm growing a thing of beauty that's clean, that likes bright light and likes lots of fresh air. What they see is an insurance risk. So, starting a business in this industry can be hard. And that's why I'm saying scale slow. Pick the thing you want, pick the passion, right? Pick the thing you want to do. If you want to do genetics, don't start with genetics. Start with the mushroom, right? If you want to start with the mushroom, start with genetics. Here's why. The reason why I did this company the way that I did, spore to table, is because that's a forcing function, right? And a forcing function basically forces my ADHD ass to change my behavior. And so spore to table forces me to learn, right? I have to know everything. I have to understand the biochemistry. I have to understand mating, pairs, genetics, breeding. I have to understand grains, cultures, isolation. I have to understand substrates, fruiting chambers, and everything. And I have to understand the flavor profiles of the mushrooms that I sell. I did it because I'm me. I don't recommend that for you. What I would say is if you're going to start something, pick the thing you want to do. If it's tinctures, focus on that.
right? Don't spread yourself too thin. Like, we've been pulling back lately, right? We've cut back on, we took some products that never sold off the website. You know, we've got our ship times fixed again. But, you know, a lot of the problems that we had were mostly just due to me scaling up too fast. So yeah. But it's also one of the most rewarding things I've ever done in my life. Now, I have to label these. Why do I set the Petri dishes so close to the flow hood? That's a lovely question. Flow hoods blow air this way. Anything that is close to the filter is more sterile than something back here, right? So the most sterile thing in your environment is right here. Now I have to get all my labels out from underneath all the cameras. Okay, this is ridiculous. Yes. Okay. So, well, I'm sorting these out again because I made a great big mess. And I can never remember species abbreviations because for some reason, even though I made the abbreviations, I can't remember them. Every day is Groundhog Day. I have many, many, many labels. Do me a favor and don't do comments like that, YouTube people. Please don't comment on the looks of my employees or anything else like that. There, I sorted my labels. What's up, Brother Bear? I was just sorting out my my labels. I just got all these sealed up, so now I've got to actually go through and, you know, label them. I need to print labels for those. Those don't have labels. Yeah, I'm not gonna doodle on the plates anymore with Sharpie, or at least I'm gonna try not to. I think these look better anyways. Now, if I was pro, I'd be doing this on the bottom, but I want to be able to see what I'm looking at, so I'm lazy. No problem, Christopher. What I really like is that fungi are a lot like a computer program, right? Because I can hack them, I can tune them, I can train them. it's like working with like a little Tamagotchi, except one that operates at the biochemical level or biomolecular level. Because you can teach them to eat different sources of food. No problem, random Bigfoot. And also, Jacob, yeah, no, I'd be happy to have a meeting. And also, like I said, we've got consult packages up on the site. We've got the book up on the website. We've got passes. But, we got the Kickstarter, man, we got everything. We got everything going on. I really just can't wait to get out the PCR machine and start sequencing everything. But I want to do enough sequencing that we can justify purchasing a used sequencer off the internet. Because I went and did the price for one run. I think I calculated the price if I were to send away for the tests. It'd be like $10 a sample, and my bill was already at $5,000 when I stopped. One of the interesting things is about this genetics work that we're doing is, let me see. So you notice these different types of growth right here? What I'd like to be able to do is sequence the different genetic lines that we've got here and these different growth patterns, right? Because what if one had a different type of marker or trait that was triggering different mycelial specialization? What's cool is that as you know, different spore mating pairs merge and the fungus becomes one kind of entity, they still retain a fair amount of genetic diversity. And so that genetic diversity goes up the further away from the center you get. In other words, once you get to the tip, you can actually have a bunch of different potential genetic lines because they aren't fully merged into one yet. Yeah, Phoebe. Hey, Sci Research, just let you know, I made that Phoebe myself, so if there's any problems, I will replace it for free, because that's what I do. We always do that. But more importantly, enjoy the Phoebe, but I recommend Sci. I recommend trying the Triton, because I'm pretty sure I nailed that shit. Chemically, like, chemistry-wise, So I've got a couple of mineral tests I want to run to test benchmarking on different different mineral profiles, and so I want to mess with a mix of glacial rock dust and all sorts of other things. But as soon as I get these stickers on, I'm going to go say bye to Sarah, because she's taking off for the weekend. I'm probably going to take off to the weekend. Ooh, nice. But, ooh, that's a bunch of questions. I get this question a lot of times. Where do I get these white racks from? Yo, dog, learn you some kitchen organization. No, I'm joking. These racks are actually kitchen organizing racks. So if you go to Amazon, Walmart, Target, the Container Store, these are for like cabinet organization, right? They're nice, they're plastic coated, they're for like under the sink organization. So Sai, go ahead and hit me up with any questions you got. I've been doing specific benchmarks with Triton. Because again, I like to track things like time to pen set or pen set coverage percentage. So one of the things on my wish list is to get enough time and space. Hold on, I need a Sharpie. Sure somebody breaks in here at night and steals all of our Sharpies. Ooh, Sarah found one too. But anyways, as soon as I'm done labeling this, I'm going to break for the night. So, I was talking about substrates, I think. What was I? Oh! So, drop a note in the comments or, yeah, so actually I got a good question from Randolph, Bigfoot Adventures on YouTube. Basically, he's growing in a tub and he's got like all side pins and nothing in the center. So you're not fanning too much. What it is, you're actually side pins are because of the microenvironment in between the tub or the liner and the cake, right? So you'll get lots and lots of side pins because condensation builds there. What you want to do is actually mist the roof, the lid of the monotub more than the sides. So, anyways, the thing on my wish list is once we get these cultures all lined up, because like I said, I'm dealing with like over 120 species now. Once I get these indexed, catalog, broken out, cleaned up, and semi-isolated, we're gonna start selling cultures that are pre-trained on nutrition sources. Because I understand how to hack the enzyme stomach. So if I go and say, hey, I want this mushroom to understand how to eat crude oil, I'll mix some crude oil in my auger recipe, train the fungus on it. Now I can sell cultures to you that will eat crude oil. Boom. Anyways, that's it. I gotta go for the night. I am starving and I'm hungry and I'm tired. I'm tired. Obviously low blood sugar, I'm repeating myself every 6 seconds. I'm gonna be back tomorrow though. I'm going to be doing a hell of a lot more. I've got a bunch of spore work to do. I've got a bunch of isolation work to do. I'll probably break out the digital microscope and probably do some high-res images for the book tomorrow because I want to dive into the breeding, pairing, and monoculture section and then go off on a huge rant about how Monsanto sucks. So, anyways, yeah, so again, side pins equalize your humidity. I'll be back later, y'all. See you tomorrow.